So, apparently we're doing Kyle Gallner Appreciation Week on the channel because this is the third film in a row, accidentally, I have done with him in it. The first two obviously being the Smile movies. Now there's a lot of hype around this film, and there fucking should be because it's good. It's really good. The tagline for this one could almost be like, "Picture a slasher or grindhouse done by Tarantino." If that sounds good, then get the fuck around this one. Like, don't even bother watching the rest of the review. Just go in because this movie is better the less you know about it. This is grimy. This is sexy. This is druggy, and I mean all of those things in a good way, right? Like that's a good thing. Also, if you're a dude with a mustache who always struggles to find a costume for Halloween, grab a fucking flanny, grab a red flanny, grab a fake gun, done. You are sorted. You are sorted as Kyle Gallner in this one. Um, Now, this movie premiered at Fantastic Fest in 2023. It got a bit of hype, but it is released most places, including Australia, in 2024. So I'm considering it a 2024 movie. It's available to rent on lots of places like Apple and Prime and all that. Um, it is. I do think it's one of the best of the year for me. Not top three or anything, but I do think it'll be in my top 10 at the end of the year. The story starts straight away. There are multiple different aesthetics. There's like cottagecore, but there's also like neon sleaze, and it just kept me engaged the entire time, which that's really hard to do for me, especially in October because I see so many horror movies. I see so many horror movies. So if it's something I've seen done all the time, constantly, I'm sort of like I sort of go, okay, yep, seen this one. That's section of this, section of that. This this was tense and it got me going the whole way I was in. So that's good. Your nerves can get a little and attention can get a little deadened, especially if you watch a lot of horror movies in a row. But this one kept on pumping, which was really good. Strange Darling follows a lady. That is her name. Her name is just Lady. Especially in the credits, it's just Lady. Very Quentin Tarantino move to just have people called titles, not names. And JT Molnar, who wrote and directed this, obviously likes Tarantino. This movie opens up with Lady being played by Willa Fitzgerald, being chased by a fucking psycho, played by Kyle Gallner. He's got a red flanny, a big truck, and a gun. There is something very Wolf Creekian about this sequence. It's very Mick Taylor. He's very cool, calm, and collected. You can tell he's a hunter. He like lines up his shots really well. It's good. It's really good. He's setting off to do terrible things to Lady. You don't know why. You're hoping she gets out of it. And then the movie cuts, and it's sort of like we get to look at how they got here. All it needed was the voiceover. You know the one like the. You're probably wondering how I got here. Well, my name's Lady, and I'm being chased. All that shit. I'm glad they didn't do that because I would have walked out. But that's how it sort of feels. Like it just freeze frames. It's like cut. Back to the start. Um, the story is told to us in 6 snippets, and they are jumbled. So it's like I think it starts off in chapter 4, and then it goes to chapter 2, and then it goes to chapter 5. Like it is that. But like lots of Tarantino films, they all sort of slot together at the end, and you sort of go, "Oh, okay, I see what you're doing." You sort of see it's like an optical illusion, where you stare at it and you finally see it. It's sort of a bit like that. One thing I really liked about this movie is it's shot mostly in sunlight or really bright neon light. We don't get that many horror movies shot in broad daylight, and I really like that because like it's one of my favorite things about Midsommar is that it's shot in broad day. There's nowhere to hide bad set design or bad cinematography, and this movie looks beautiful. It's shot on 35mm. There is so much bright color. This movie's quite a feast for the eyes. And it's shot by Giovanni Ribisi. If you don't know who that is, yes you do, because he is in everything. It is this guy. He's Donnie and Ted, he's Parker in Avatar, he's Sarah Silverman's dude in A Million Ways to Die in the West. He's in heaps of shit, and this is his first outing as a feature film cinematographer, and I think he fucking crushed it. Like, I'm stoked for him. He did a good job here. Willa Fitzgerald and Kyle Gallner, they're both great. They've got really good like antagonistic chemistry. There is a scene in a car park out the front of a motel where they're just talking shit to each other, and it's really good. I bought into it. I thought it was good. Another highlight in this film is there's one of the funniest and best breakfast scenes I've ever seen in a horror movie. It was such it's a weird it was a weird thing to put in here because it does fit, but you wouldn't think it does knowing what sort of film it is. But it was really nice having a little bit of levity in there. It's a fucking frankly, it's a psychotic breakfast is what they're eating. But I loved having that in a tense little film. The runtime is great. It clocks in just over an hour and a half, and it keeps moving. Like I wasn't bored at all. I did roll my eyes when it started telling it in like a jumbled chapter format. I was a bit like, who do you think you are, JT Moller? Like, come on, dude. Moller, sorry. But joke's on me because this is one of the few films I think that like works for that storytelling style. There's a lot of violence and action in this movie. It's all very realistic. It's all very sudden. It does play into its character's desperation, so that depicts it really well. While I saw some of the twists and turns coming, I don't think it took away from the movie at all because it was just fun. Like I was like, at some point, I was just sort of like, all right, fair enough, you've done enough, I'm in. Now, do not believe the hype about this movie being the once-in-a-lifetime movie or a movie we've never seen before in this genre. Neither is true, right? We have seen it. It is done really well, though. This movie is done really well, but it's not a masterpiece, and we have seen this sort of story told before. I did have some slight problems with the stupidity of some of the characters, and also some of them get away with shit that I just don't think they would have gotten away with in public places. You know, they're doing crazy shit in public places in some of this, and I'm like, surely someone would pick up on this. And some of the victims also seem to have the reflexes of a fainting goat, which is also a bit like, okay, so you do have to suspend disbelief a little bit, but there's somewhat minor quibbles for me because the ride was fun enough. I also got a bit of the sense, and I almost feel bad saying this, but like it, and because it could be the marketing, or it could be the hype around this film, but I do feel like the director was a bit like, how fucking clever are we to pull this off? You know, like there was a bit of he kept going on about the same point and being like, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. How amazing is it that this is happening? And don't get me wrong, this is a very cool movie, but we have seen this before, and at some point you do see the twists coming. So while it is good, it's not like fucking mind blowing. I wasn't like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing of all. You know, it's good though. It's really good. I recommend watching this if you love Tarantino films. This is basically a horror done in that style. If you love realistic slashers, your Wolf Creeks, your Texas Chainsaw Massacres, Deliverance, I guess, is a little bit like that. If you love neon tinted horror films, Mandy, Censor, Neon Demon, this has the same similar aesthetics. If you love breakfast foods, come look at this crazy fucking breakfast that is in this. It's fucking wild. I don't recommend watching this if you hate plots that jump around. This jumps around a lot. If you've had it spoiled for you, you probably won't get as much out of this film. Even though I did see it coming before the twist came, part of the fun is the format. If you have a weak stomach for sex and violence, there's plenty of both in this film, so just be aware going in. If you like this and you want another well-done neon-tinted thriller mystery film, check out Last Night in Soho by Edgar Wright. Came out in 2021. It's about an aspiring fashion designer played by Thomasin McKenzie who moves into a London apartment to go to uni, only to find out that when she goes to sleep, she gets haunted by the ghost of a swinging 60s like glamour queen played by Anya Taylor-Joy, big cow eyes Anya Taylor-Joy. She decides to work out why she has this connection to this spirit, and she gets pulled into a world of like roaring music, sex, and drugs. It's a fun film. It's really good. Lots of cool aesthetics. It's a great little mystery, and there's actually a terrifying performance in it by Matt Smith, which you never see from him. But he's played a bastard a couple of times, but this is the scariest he's been. Another great movie that is similar in themes to this one is You'll Never Find Me. It's a 2024 Australian single-location horror film. It's about a woman who has to shelter from a terrible storm in the trailer of this like weird hermit. You spend the whole movie trying to work out who is the real danger out of these two, because honestly, they're both shady as all fuck. You spend the whole time going, you're the baddie, and then they'll say something fucked up, and you're like, oh wait, you're the baddie, you should get out of here. And then you just keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's really tense. The ending is wild as hell, and it does drift into a bit of psychedelia, but that being said, it's a good, tense little indie horror film. And if you like single location stuff, it's fucking good. That's it. Let me know what you thought about Strange Darlings if you have seen it. Lots of people are saying it's going up against The Substance for best horror film of the year. I find that very interesting. I love when the end of year lists come out, even if I don't agree with them, because I get to see how everyone ranks the releases, and it's sometimes it's a 2-horse race. Sometimes there's just very clear winners. Like I feel like last year it was Talk to Me. Everyone was pretty sure Talk to Me was going to win. That's not the case this year. There's some up in the air ones, although The Substance is pretty fucking strong. But people are saying this might knock it off. I don't know. Both interesting films. As always, thanks for watching, and if you want to follow along this Spooktober, subscribe, hit the bell. That is the best way. Peace.